This body began in 2011. It was an advisory body for the creation of the Masters in Development Practice program. It grew in scope until it comprised like an institution-wide mandate and started to be known as the Indigenous Advisory Circle. The previous iteration of this body concluded in 2022. We had a closing ceremony for the former iteration in 2024. And then in 2025, the new iteration was launched. The purpose of the circle is to provide an opportunity for Indigenous community input, oversight, guidance into the inner workings of the university. It's an opportunity for strengthening our relationships with Indigenous community, government, political bodies. It's an opportunity to indigenize governance at this institution. So the body has an opportunity to meet with senior administration, the president, the provost, VPs, and weigh in on the creation of new policies, for example, or the revision of existing policies, or let's say there's a specific situation that has arisen on campus. The circle members would have an opportunity to help direct how we move forward and collaborate together. I'd also say, importantly, it's an opportunity for the institution to remain accountable to Indigenous community and make sure that we're not just talking about reconciliation, but we've got concrete actions that are measurable, and community can let us know if we're on the right track or where we might need to shift.
Through the circle, I'm hoping to have conversations that might be uncomfortable, that might be difficult, that bring forward some truths that maybe have gone unrecognized by the university in the past. And that is something that I'm particularly invested in the work that I do as a facilitator. But also as an Indigenous person, I've always been the person to kind of push the envelope and say, well, why not? If there's an answer given that kind of increases barriers or where solutions get shot down. So for me, the conversations that I'm hoping to hear and hoping to help foster will include things like talking about access, talking about power dynamics, talking about identity and how that plays into all of the work that the university is doing around First Nations, Métis, and Inuit folks who attend here, work here, study here. So I am looking forward to fostering the sense of community, but also to listening to possible dissension and hearing all of the perspectives that might come forward.
Well, for myself, being Two-Spirit, that, we did have a call to conversation here in 2017, where we called Two-Spirit and queer people of color to talk about education and institutions like universities. And so we came up with 39 calls to action, which any institution can undertake to make sure that their education system, their staff, and their environments are safer for gay, lesbian, transgender people to continue their education.
We recognize that the people who comprise the circle come with a lifetime of lived experience and wisdom. They bring important perspectives. And so we ensure, transportation costs are reimbursed. We have a feast at every meeting. The employees of the institution will do the heavy lifting, but I understand it as part of my responsibility to bring kind of the core topics and issues and present them at the table, provide updates about what's going on. purposely seek guidance if there is some kind of contentious issue that has arisen. We are also looking for ways of bettering relationships with community, and are looking for, partnership opportunities and collaborations. So the circle members could bring forward those types of opportunities, which could be in service to, their own communities. And so there's lots of opportunities. So I'm excited about what's to come.
Myself, I worked with the late Roger Roulette for quite a long time. And his work was around not just interpreting or translating the Ojibwe language, but it was sharing what was the philosophy behind the language, which is critically important. And I think that is a process of decolonization and reconciliation, is understanding Indigenous philosophies of life, and that North America is not a new continent or civilization. It's thousands of years old. So I think it really is bringing in these sciences, healing methodologies, and philosophies as part of our understanding of where we are in the world, and what's important to what we consider education, and understanding our relationship with the earth, our ecosystems, and our geographies.
For me, the idea that of ensuring all perspectives are heard, or different community voices are heard and amplified, is a really important one. It's something that I aspire to do in all of the work that I've done, and just in my everyday life. I think inclusion starts with humility, and I can't say that I have all the answers about how best to do that, how best to ensure that communities are included, especially when we're talking about communities kind of at large and defined in different ways. All I can do is really bring the knowledge that I carry and ensure that the folks around the table are able to share their perspectives as well, to create a safe space for that conversation, and to ensure that all voices are heard equally, because the strength of our circle is that we all have very different perspectives, we bring different voices with us, and no voice is more important than the other, and not one voice has all of the answers. So we'd like to hear from all the voices.
So I stepped into the role of interim AVP Indigenous in 2023, and the previous iteration had been concluded the year before. So I wasn't even aware of it. I learned of it when I stepped into the role. And I knew that the importance of this body cannot be understated. So I got to work right away, first by reaching out to former members and asking about their experience with the body, what was working well, did they notice any gaps, could they recommend areas that we could strengthen, and let them know that I was revising the policy and the terms of reference based on their feedback, which I did. And then I sought, the proper approvals, and then reconstituted the body, because there is no other body like this in the institution. Like, this is the greatest centralized opportunity for extensive Indigenous community input into the goings on of the institution. And it's a critical part of our operations. And so I knew that we can't, or we shouldn't exist without something like this.
The way that I was raised in northern Manitoba as a Cree woman, as the daughter of a very strong Cree matriarch, definitely plays into the way that I approach life and the way that I understand responsibility, leadership, and accountability. And I bring the knowledge that I personally have from my own lived experience, but often I find myself as somebody who facilitates conversations, putting my own knowledge and experience in the background, so that I can then focus on the conversations and discussion and perspectives that other participants are sharing in the foreground. So although I do bring my own lived experience and knowledge, I feel as chair that it's my responsibility to ensure that all of the voices at the table get heard, and not to overpower with my own ideas or perspectives or thoughts. Although as a Cree woman, sometimes it's hard to maybe make that a little bit quieter. So it's a balance for sure. And I'm proud to kind of represent my community of Norway House Cree Nation, proud to represent my family, and to have this opportunity and to help ensure that the university is listening and hopefully will take meaningful action based on the Circle's recommendations.
You know, my grandmother was born in 1897, and I was raised in the 20th century, and now I'm sharing her wisdom and experience in the 21st century. So that covers, you know, a very long period of time. And for me, you know, my priority is, because a couple years ago I watched 750 students graduate at this university. And my message to administrators and educators, our responsibility is to help that student during that year or that time they're in school, resolve the problems, everyday life problems, so that they could focus on their studies and they can walk across that stage to get their diploma or their degree. And so within that context of the university culture, the issues that come up should be resolved, and that student should be supported to study.